G'day guys, it's Wolffy here and welcome back to the pack. So today I've got a bit of a special tune for you guys. I know it's been a while since I've dropped any tunes, but with all the changes, especially with update 1.49 and life going on, I haven't been able to really do a whole bunch. However, this one I think is really going to help you guys get back to making some quick credits. It's an absolute monster. Many of you will notice that update 1.49 and the associated BOP changes have really shaken things up, and so a lot of the old tunes that I've done in the past and old vids are now a little bit obsolete. So I thought it might be time to bring this one out of the garage. It's an absolute monster, kind of similar to the LT1 swap that I did on the Mazda Roadster, but this one is even crazier. So we're talking about 420 km an hour top speed, and easily under 2-minute laps, roughly a 24-minute race if you get it right, but definitely 24.5 minutes easy. So yeah, I thought it might be time to share it with you guys, and hopefully you like it. So let's get stuck in. Okay, so this is what I've been waiting for. If you head over to the used car dealership right now, you're going to see this car right here, the Silvia S13 from 1988, and it's going for 31,800 credits. Absolute bargain. Obviously, I think it's a great car for this, but it's also a great car by itself. It's a lot of fun, so I'd buy 2 of them if I were you. It's very cheap, and you know, it's an amazing car. Great platform for the swap, but also a great car to just drive by itself, especially if you like a lot of these old school JDM cars. So we're going to pick that one up. And of course, as per usual, first thing we're going to do is head over to GT Auto, more specifically to the car maintenance section, and we're going to go in and we're going to look at the wide body and engine swap conversions first up. Right, so the wide body is only going to set us back 5,000 credits. Not going to adjust our PP level at all for the moment, but it is going to allow us to get a wider track on the car and make it more stable, especially since we're going to be dropping it a little bit, and it's going to give us some more stability in and out of corners. Next up, we're getting the engine swap. This one is coming out of the BRZ drift car. It's the LS7, and it's monstrous. It's an absolutely amazing engine. 300,000 credits. Once again, very, very cheap comparatively. If you look at look at what a lot of these swaps cost, and as you can see there, displacement's going up to 7.8. I repeat, 7.8 liters from 1.8. So yeah, that's a huge increase. I don't know what that converts to in cubic inches, but it's large. As you can see, the max power is over 1,000 brake horsepower, and the power to weight ratio is now almost 1:1. So it's like 1 to 1.1, 1 to 1. It's big and it's powerful. So we're going to grab that bad boy. And while I'm at it, I'll drop a quick warning and statement about these kind of builds, and you know, kind of what you can expect from them. So obviously these builds are made for grinding, okay? And I know I call them tunes, but really there's not a whole lot of tuning involved other than the suspension. The rest is really just BOP manipulation, okay? Just for anyone who's questioning what it is that we're doing here. So first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to put on some wheels. I'm going with one of the new wheels. I'm going to chuck on some 4Gs. We're going for the smallest standard size, wide rim width, and the wide offset. We're going to install that. That's going to give us a wider track on the car and a bit more stability, hopefully, and also a little bit more contact patch, I guess you might call it. So more tread on the ground. For our front aero, we're going with type A, so we just need to be able to apply some aerodynamics at the front. For the side skirts, we're going with type A. For the rear, we're going with type B. You really need this, okay? You need the rear diffuser to basically help you to tie in that entire aero package, And for the rear wing, we're going with custom wing set. You have to get this one as well. Okay, so buy that one. I don't think it entirely matters whether or not you go low, medium or high. I've chosen to go with low for this car, just to keep it looking a little bit more street. But yeah, as long as we can get full downforce at the rear, I don't think it matters which one you're going to choose. And then finally, of course, we're going to want the roll cage. Now, jury is still out as to whether or not this makes an impact. I think it does. To me, it feels a little bit different. It kind of feels sort of similar to the increased body rigidity. I think it stabilizes the car a bit, but look, it's not going to cost you any more in BOP, so I'd pick it. And then, as per usual, any additional performance parts I'm going to point out in this tuning sheet. So as you can see here, we've got over 1000 brake horsepower, and we're looking at 1.2 ton in weight, so that's equivalent to like 2,600 odd pounds, I believe. I've chosen to go with the Wolffy spec, so sports hards at the front, sports mediums at the rear for my opening stint. And as you can see here, if I put the mediums on at the rear, it's actually going to give me that little bit more acceleration out, well, from the start basically. It's going to give me a better takeoff, and I'm going to be able to get those really quick lap times in at the start of the race, but that's entirely up to you. If you want to use the hards for both stints, that's your choice. So first thing you're going to want to buy, of course, is the tires, and then the suspension. So we want fully customizable racing suspension, and we've set that to 80 at the front and 100 at the rear, so a little bit of rake effect there just to help with stability. Anti-roll bar set to 7 at the front and 5 at the rear. Dampening ratio compression to 33 at the front and 33 at the rear, pretty standard. Expansion to 45 at the front and 43 at the rear, down a little bit at the rear to help once again with stability. Natural frequency's gone up to 2.30, so it's a little bit stiffer, but I found this is where it was good. Negative camber angle to 2.6 at the front and 2.2 at the rear. Once again, reduced a bit at the rear just to save on that tyre wear. Toe angle we've set to 0 at the front and 0.20 inward at the rear, so that's to the right. And so look, some people might like to use toe angle on these really high powered builds. That's up to them. For me, I find that it doesn't really work. Next thing you're going to want to buy is the fully customizable differential, and I've initially set this all to 5, 5 and 5, so I've dropped them all down: initial torque, acceleration sensitivity and braking sensitivity. But I would advise, once you get used to this build, building brake sensitivity up to sort of 10, 15, maybe even 20 to suit, because it is going to help you slow the car down under deceleration and braking zones and stuff. But yeah, once you're getting used to it, that can really help. But to start out with, I've dropped them all down just to help me, just keep it nice and simple while people learn this build. Okay, next up, downforce at the front is going to be at 60, so reasonably standard, and then at the rear is going to be at 300, so we're maxing out the rear downforce. We really need this to basically help keep the rear of the car planted, because it's got so much power. You're going to want to buy the fully customizable racing ECU. As you can see there, the curve on this thing is absolutely monstrous. You can see why it has so much power and why you need to short shift this thing. You're also going to want to buy ballast, so I've put on 113 kilos, but that's been offset obviously by our weight reduction stage 1 weight reduction. You're going to want to buy that. You're going to want to buy ballast, and we've put on 2 kilos worth of ballast, and we've positioned that slightly back, so that's also going to help with our acceleration performance, and also the balance of the car. Power restrictor, another thing you're going to want to buy, and we're setting that to 90%, so we're almost getting full power out of this thing, which is pretty crazy. You're also going to want to buy the fully customizable racing transmission, and I've initially set that to 470 kilometers an hour, which equates to about 290 mph, I believe. And then this is how I've set up the gears. So I've changed the gear ratios to 4.375, which means I've stretched out 1, 2 and 3 and brought 4 and 5 back in a little bit to use some of that excess torque in the first 3 gears, and gain a little bit more on 4 and 5. But yeah, that's going to be entirely up to you. You can just basically pick pick a top speed that works for you. But I found for me, especially as far as fuel consumption is concerned and getting all the right power at all the right stages, this worked for me. So I would suggest putting in those numbers to start with and just trying it out, seeing how it goes. You really want to get into 4th and 5th gear ASAP. Next up, of course, we're getting the high RPM turbocharger. I tried it with ultra high, bit too much for me. Brake system, we're using sports front and rear. I couldn't quite sneak in the racing brake system. I'm getting the hydraulic handbrake. I always grab that just to help get me out of sticky situations. But very importantly, you want the brake balance controller, and you want to basically set this forward. So we're going -5, so all the way forward. That's just one of those, another thing that's going to help us conserve those rear tires, which are going to be the first thing to go on this car because it's got so much power being delivered to those rear wheels. Then of course we're getting the racing clutch and flywheel, very important, and the carbon propeller shaft. And as you can see here, we've got weight reduction stage 1, as I mentioned before, and we've got the increased body rigidity. And if you can get all of those things, you're going to be able to tie in all the bits and pieces for this build, and you're going to be able to do the sort of race that I've done here. And so, as I'm sure you've worked out by now, we're headed over to Asia, Oceania, to Tokyo Expressway, and we're going to be doing the Tokyo WTC 600, World Touring Car 600. And you'll notice as I try to enter here, it's only going to give me the option to be able to choose sports hards. So that means that when I pit, I can only choose both sports hards, front and rear. But I can start with mediums on the rear, which is what I'm choosing to do for this particular race. And then as we take off for the first lap, you're going to get some sort of idea as to why this thing is such a beast. So if you look at the acceleration here, I've actually got to back off a tad here and get right up against the wall to be able to get around this first car in front of me, because this thing absolutely blows everything out of the water. So before we even reach the train line overhead, I've taken P1. Obviously I'm going to wall ride this first corner. That's going to be entirely up to you guys. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But yeah, look, considering this has always been a grind event for me, and I'm trying to basically compare against races that I've done in the past, I'm going to continue to do that for now. And this is a good way of making money. So as you can see, up the straights, I'm absolutely going to demolish everything, and then round at the back of the course, I'm actually really taking this easy. So you'll notice if you look at my acceleration inputs, I'm actually kind of coasting a lot of the time, right? So that's both to stop myself from running off and oversteering or understeering, but also to try and conserve those rear tires. And I would advise doing the same thing, at least at the start. Once you get used to the car and you get used to the build, then you can probably go for some records. And I know of quite a few of you guys that use my tunes that have done some amazing times, some amazing race times with these builds. So I'm expecting some pretty crazy race times and lap times with this build. So yeah, like I'd love to hear what sort of times you guys do. So let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I'm always happy to celebrate those with you guys. So as we knock over lap number 1, you'll see here we're sort of only just over 2 minutes really, which is very, very fast. 2 minutes and 7 seconds, almost 2 minutes and 8 seconds for our first lap, which is amazingly quick. If you've done this event before, then you'll know how fast that is. Now of course we're going to have to do a pit stop in this race, which means that we're going to have to get some pretty amazing lap times in order to compared to a no stop, right? Which is what I'd more commonly do. But yeah, with this car especially, you can quite easily do that. And this thing is faster, I dare say, than the LT1 conversion that I did on the Roadster, Mazda Roadster S. So yeah, like I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of times you guys can post with this. I can knock over a 24 minute with it quite easily. I've done just shy of 24 minutes since the last update, but yeah, I'd be interested to know what sort of times you guys can do with it. It has to be said, however, that if you expect to be able to fly around the back end of this course like you would in some of my other builds, then you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Alright, so just take it easy around the back. You really don't need to press too hard. I'm just really taking it easy all the way around the back end of this course, much like I was in the Mazda Roadster S, but this time doing even better times. So as you can see here, we're finishing up lap 2, and as I come out, I'm basically getting into 3rd gear to finish rotating, and I'm into 4th, sort of ASAP really. And then before I even get halfway up the rev range, I'm going to jump into 5th. And the reason for that is because you want to just basically give this huge engine and huge turbo time to spool up. Okay, so the quicker you can get into 4th and 5th and allow this thing to get into its power band and start using that boost, the better. I think it reads sort of like 1.5 bar. I'm not entirely sure. We usually use PSI in Australia, but this thing has a hell of a lot of boost. So yeah, if you can use the absolutely huge engine and its boosts, the best way you're going to do that is by getting into 4th and 5th as soon as possible, and you know, allowing it time to spool up. Okay, it might sound like it's actually sort of drowning out a little bit, and it will be, but that's how you're going to get the best out of this engine. So 4th and 5th are really going to be your friends as far as getting that top speed up and down the straight. And then around the back, I'm just sort of sitting in 4th, 3rd, 4th, back to 5th here to just save a bit of fuel. So I'm just basically conserving my fuel and conserving my tires. And then as soon as I get to the straight, then I'm straight back into trying to get as much out of this engine as I can and getting myself up to as high at top speed as I can. And with that, I'm just going to quickly show you my fastest lap. It worked out to be, I think it was a 155 something, low 155s, just so you can get an idea of what I was doing. So I was coming out in 3rd to finish rotating, into 4th ASAP, getting about halfway roughly up the rev range, and then shifting into 5th. As you can see there, my boost is increasing up to about 1.5 bar, I believe it is, which equates to something like, it's in the 30s as far as PSI is concerned, which is huge. That's a lot of pounds of boost. And then my top speed is going to well and truly be over 400, 410, 420 by the time I reach the end of the straight. So we're making up all our time there really. And then I'm just backing right off here into 2nd, into 3rd, and then just sort of accelerating using 3rd, 4th, 5th, coasting a little bit, taking it easy, and just getting myself around without spinning out really is going to be the issue. So I tend to turn up my tire sounds on Gran Turismo 7 so that I can hear when my wheels are spinning, and as soon as I hear the wheel spinning, I know to back off a little bit. And I made the mistake a couple of times in this race and pushed a little bit too hard and lost control, and you know, basically lost myself a good 5, 6, 7 seconds even, because I was just pushing a little bit too hard. You really don't need to do that, and you don't want to be doing it when you're first learning this car. But once you do learn it, yeah, you're probably going to come up with some amazing times. So yeah, some of you regulars who like these kind of builds, I'd be interested to know what sort of times you can knock over. I know that you're probably going to blow my time out of the water, so yeah, post it, and you know, I'll post it on YouTube and on my Discord, and show it off, you know, because that's pretty cool, I think, you know. A 24-minute race at Tokyo, I think, is pretty impressive. But yeah, I know some of you guys are probably going to go well and truly under. So there you go. 1 minute 55.121 was my fastest lap. And there was only one lap that I think was over, or maybe 2 laps that were over, and they would have been the in lap and out lap that were over 2 minutes. But yeah, that's pretty good, I think. So it makes doing the pit stop, doing the one stop strat, well and truly worth it, if you can get times like that. And so we're going to scoot forward here to the end of lap 6, and you can see here, as I just stay on it a little bit too much, I just keep the foot in a little bit too long, I lose traction, and therefore go up against the wall and lose a whole bunch of seconds. And that's kind of the exact thing I'm talking about. Your patience is really going to pay off with this thing. So we're going to come in and we're going to do a pit stop. We're going to obviously throw on a new set of tires. It's going to have to be hards front and rear this time, and we're going to put in a full tank of fuel, and we're going to do basically the same thing. We're just going to take off. We're going to try and get as good an entrance into the straight as we can, and exit out of the straight by wall riding that final corner. And around the back end of the course, we're just going to take it easy, coast where we need to, not overrun any of the corners. It doesn't really matter if you hit walls and stuff like that with Tokyo. Main thing is just don't hit any of the AI, not too hard anyway, and don't cross that final line, which would be this line here, and you should be fine. As long as you can do those 2 things, then you're going to get your clean race bonus, and you're going to be able to make those 825,000 credits every 24 odd minutes, 24 and a half max, you know. Even if you're getting used to it, I'm sure you can get it under 25 minutes quite easily. And that's basically the length of this video, really, to make 825,000 credits. So even with the hards on the front and back, we're looking at 157s, 158s, 159s to finish out our race. And then look at final lap. I'm coming through. I've still got quite a bit of grip, really, but yeah, of course you still want to be a little bit careful. As you can see here, I sort of stay in it a little bit too long, so just listen for that tire squeal, because I stay in it a little bit too long here and just get that little bit of a shake up, and reality kicks in for a second. But yeah, that's what you can expect from this car, you know, and that's part of its beauty, really. And then so we're going to come through in quite easily, just over 24 minutes. I've done under 24 minutes in it. I've done over 24 minutes. I've done 24 flat in it. And yeah, look, it's perfect for this race if you want to just make some really quick credits. And of course, we get our 825,000 credits. We get our clean race bonus, and we even pick up a ticket on this particular outing. So yeah, I hope you guys like that, and if you do, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, let me know how you go. I'm interested to see how some of the regular watchers, regular viewers are going to do with this. I'm sure some of you guys are really going to get a handle on this quick and start doing some amazing lap times. I think I've done a 1 minute 54 or something. There's a couple of guys out there that I know are going to be able to drop 1 minute 53s, 1 minute 52s, and I don't even want to consider how much quicker. So yeah, I hope you guys like that, and yeah, enjoy it, go out, make yourselves a mint, and yeah, until next time guys, take care. Bye.